have green beans and yellow beans. You could use one or the other, but basically you just take the beans and I slice it on the bias, but sort of, so you end up with these thinner pieces here. Again, just switching up the cut of a vegetable to get it a little bit thinner and to give it a little bit more interest and make it seem like something a little different. All right, and I have a steamer basket over some boiling water, because before we finish this off, I'm just gonna lightly steam these beans. You know, I'm not a big fan of raw tasting string beans, even if they're beautiful and fresh. So right over here, I have some water boiling, and I'm just gonna get these in for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Because they're thin, they don't take very long to cook. So you wanna get them in here and just let them go while you get the rest of your dish going. I'm just gonna get my pan heated and get some plastic wrap out, because I have chicken breasts that I'm gonna cut in half and then pound thin. So I wanna get all prepared before I get my hands filled with chicken, which is another reason why I have a special board right here for when I'm working with raw meat. I can put it right up on top of my cutting board. And let me show you how I do it for this dish. I take one piece and then just go from the fattest side of the chicken breast, a very sharp knife, watch your hand, and then cut in half all the way through until you have 2 pieces. It's a really economical way to eat your chicken too, especially when you have all those beautiful vegetables. And then just get your plastic wrap on top. And I do have a mallet right here right now. Sometimes I don't. So sometimes I'll use a cast iron pan, a brick, you name it. Sometimes I'll even take a cutting board and just start slamming it. Point is, you want to get it thin. That's what a Paillard is. I like it quite thin. All right, that's great. And now some salt and some pepper on one side. I'll get the rest of it in once I get it in the pan. And I have my little salt and peppers in containers here, so there's no contamination. I'm just using this for my chicken. And you need to season it well, because there's nothing else really going on here right now. Make sure this is hot enough, which it is. One last little touch, and this is just because I love the flavor of sage with chicken, is I just press a few whole sage leaves right here onto the chicken breast. And now all I have to do is get some oil in my pan, spread it all around. It's gonna heat up right away, so I have to get that chicken in there right away. Perfect. All right, great. Now I'm gonna leave that there for 1 second. First thing I'm gonna do though is just salt and pepper this side. Oh, I can smell the fresh sage. It's amazing. Want to tell you also, you can do this on a grill. Should you be ready for the summer to grill? And then later on, I'll just show you how you can just make your pan sauce outside of the pan, because we're gonna make a pan sauce in here. That's why I'm doing it in the pan. Okay, now I'm just gonna get my hands washed. All right, by now, my green beans should be ready to come out of the pan. They should be perfectly cooked. Let me taste. Excellent. Wow, they're so great, so sweet and amazing when they're fresh. Just get around the oil, because oil and water don't necessarily mix. And now, one of the beautiful things about chicken cooking that's this thin is it should be ready to flip. So let's give it a try and see. Ah, beautiful. And you can see that the sage did adhere to the chicken breasts. Ah, okay, great. So I'm just gonna continue to cook these until they're finished. And now I'm gonna make a little pan sauce. So I have 4 ounces here of dry cured ham. Whatever you can find. You basically want a little bit of dry, salty, porky flavor here. That's what I'm going for. So I'm just slicing it and then chopping across to get small pieces. Checking out my pan over there. I'm gonna have the chicken come out of the pan and leave behind all this wonderful flavor, so I'm not starting over. I'm just gonna work right into that pan. But you can see if you cut your chicken thin like this, how beautiful they come out. All right, so right into that pan is going the ham. And basically, we really just want to get a little more flavor going before we put in some other ingredients here. So I'm just going to give this a quick stir. All right, I'm going to let this cook for 1 sec and slice a half of a red onion. which is going to go into that pan also. And you just want to slice it so that you have very thin slices to mix with the ham. And we're also in here, it's a pan sauce, but it's also a bit of a hot dressing to mix with the greens, just so you have an idea of what kind of flavor we're building up here. And like so many things that I do, one of the things that makes me very happy about this is that it's all happening in one pan, which means not too much cleanup. So as I said, you can grill your chicken breasts and then just start your pan sauce over here by a little bit of oil, get your ham going, and then your onion, and then that gets poured over. So either way, depending on what time of year it is, where you're cooking, some people, once a certain season hits, they just want to put everything on that grill. All right, I am going to get the onions in here now. So just mix it all up, starting to actually really start to take on a different layer of aroma. I want these onions to have a little bit of bite to them, not too much though. I don't want them raw. So I'm gonna let this just cook for one more second. All right, in one bowl here, I'll place, I don't know, just eyeball as much lettuce, these beautiful ones, and I keep them sort of big this time. Not too big, but I like the pieces a little big for this dish. And some beautiful chicory, whatever you find at the market, but you don't want the really big ones. We're looking for kind of like the delicate, you know, spring, summer lettuces. And we should be ready to finish up this pan sauce. Oh yeah, that's looking exactly like what I want. Now, what happens here, to this pan we add the good tablespoon of red wine vinegar. Oh, now the smell's starting to smell amazing. Mixing with the olive oil in the pan, we're making a bit of a dressing. And we just want to pick up all those great brown bits, and we want to take a little bit of the raw edge off the vinegar and let it reduce a little bit to a tiny bit of a glaze, which takes no time at all. I would say that's about it. And then I put this right in here with my lettuces. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how amazing it smells. And then just take a second and mix this up. The lettuce is going to wilt slightly, and that's what you're looking for. Okay, and last but not least, remember our beans that we already cooked. They're completely tender and ready to go. And this gets tossed in this beautiful dressing and lettuce. And then the whole glorious garden delight gets put on top of the chicken. Everybody gets a piece of chicken with some beautiful greens right on top. And this is how I serve it. I just pile it right up on top of the chicken. Okay.